Hello and welcome. In today's video, we will be showing a reenactment of the miraculous event when Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared before Juan Diego. This video will be part of a series discussing and explaining the event further from what happened, and why the indigenous peoples accepted the appearance of Our Lady so readily and wholeheartedly. For me, this journey is personal. My own ancestors, who once walked the lands of what is now northern Mexico and southern Texas, were among the millions of indigenous people who witnessed the profound impact of the Virgin of Guadalupe. Though my ancestors converted much later in most cases, it is likely that they were aware of the miracle through song and story. Her appearance is a miracle to all of the Americas, in my opinion, and all Americans living today in both southern and northern parts of the continent should understand the unique privilege of Our Lady choosing this land to reveal herself to further God's kingdom. Her miraculous appearance in 1531 was more than just a vision. It was a turning point, a moment that changed the course of history, inspiring entire nations to embrace a new faith. Today we'll explore how this sacred event led to the mass conversion of indigenous peoples and how its legacy still resonates, especially for those of us who carry the memory of our ancestors in our blood. Join me as we uncover the powerful story of the Virgin of Guadalupe and its deep connection to our past. The encounter of Juan Diego and the Virgin of Guadalupe. In the early morning of December 9th, 1531, the sun had barely begun to rise over the frost-covered fields of Tepeyac Hill, just outside Tenochtitlan, present-day Mexico City. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant wood smoke as Juan Diego, a humble indigenous man of Nahua heritage, made his way along a familiar dirt path, a journey that took several hours to walk 15 miles. Wrapped in his simple tilma, cloak, he walked briskly toward the Franciscan mission at Tlatelolco, where he was to attend Mass. As Juan Diego neared the base of Tepeyac, something unusual happened. The cold morning air was suddenly filled with the most beautiful melody he had ever heard, as if a choir of birds were singing in perfect harmony. Their song was not of this world. Each note shimmered with a heavenly resonance, filling his heart with an overwhelming peace. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the celestial music faded, and an intense golden light bathed the hilltop. As Juan Diego climbed the rugged slope of Tepeyac Hill, his breath came in quiet, steady paces, his sandals pressing into the cool earth. The dawn light shimmered over the land, casting long shadows between the rocks and the sparse desert brush. But then, everything changed. The air, once crisp with morning chill, grew suddenly warm and fragrant. A soft golden glow pulsed through the sky, not like the sun's harsh blaze, but a gentle radiance that seemed to breathe with life itself. The wind carried a melody, not of this world, a symphony of flutes, drums, and the harmonious song of unseen birds, their voices richer and sweeter than any he had ever heard. Juan Diego stopped in his tracks, his heart pounding. He blinked, as if his eyes had deceived him. Before him stretched a land he had only heard of in the songs of his ancestors, the flower world. Everywhere the earth bloomed in impossible beauty. Flowers unlike any found in the valley of Anahuac covered the hillside, scarlet blossoms, golden petals that shimmered like fire, deep blue lilies that seemed to hold the sky within them. Their fragrance filled the air, thick and intoxicating, making his soul feel light, as though he were walking in a dream. The very ground beneath him felt alive, pulsing like the heartbeat of the earth itself. This is the place of the ancestors, the land where warriors go, the paradise of song and beauty. But why am I seeing it? His fingers brushed against a soft white bloom, and warmth spread through his hand. Was this real? He had heard of great warriors passing into this world after death, of the sacred mountain peaks where the divine walked among flowers that never withered. But he was no warrior. He was just Juan Diego, a humble Matsawali, a common man. Yet the flower world had opened before him. Was this a sign? Had the gods come to him? Was this a vision meant only for great rulers and priests? The thought sent a tremor through his chest, a mixture of awe and fear, and then a presence. Drawn by an unseen force, Juan Diego climbed the rugged slope, his sandals pressing into the cool earth. As he reached the summit, a radiant figure stood before him, her presence illuminating the landscape. She was a young woman, clothed in a mantle of deep blue-green, speckled with golden stars, her gown glowing like the first light of dawn. Her dark hair cascaded gently over her shoulders, and her face, warm, kind, and familiar, bore the features of his own people. She was not like the Spanish statues of saints, or the pale-skinned holy figures he had seen in churches. No, she was one of them. Juan Diego fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the vision before him. Then, in the softest, most loving voice he had ever heard, she spoke. "Juanito, my dearest and most humble son, where are you going?" Her words were filled with a tenderness that made his heart swell. Still kneeling, Juan Diego bowed his head and humbly replied, "Noble lady, I am on my way to Tlatelolco to hear the holy teachings of the priests." The radiant woman smiled, her gaze full of deep affection. "Know, my beloved little son, that I am the ever-holy Virgin Mary, Mother of the true God who gives life to all things, the Lord of heaven and earth. I desire that a temple be built here, so that I may show my love, compassion, and protection to all who seek me. I will hear the cries of my children, heal their sorrows, and be their mother." Juan Diego's heart pounded. A temple? He was merely a poor commoner, unworthy of such a request. Yet her presence filled him with an unshakable peace, as if she had wrapped him in a mother's embrace. "Go to the Bishop of Mexico and tell him of my wish," she continued. "Tell him that I, the Mother of God, send you." With deep reverence, Juan Diego bowed low, then rose to his feet. He hurried down the hill, his tilma flapping in the morning breeze, the golden light of Tepeyac still glowing in his mind. The bishop's doubt and the Virgin's sign. Upon reaching the palace of Bishop Juan de Zumarraga, Juan Diego was granted an audience after waiting for hours among the bustling courtyards of Spanish officials and priests. He relayed the Virgin's words with sincerity, but the bishop, though kind, was skeptical. A poor indigenous man claiming a heavenly vision was not easily believed. The bishop dismissed him, suggesting that if this apparition were real, she should provide a sign. Heartbroken but undeterred, Juan Diego returned to Tepeyac that evening. The Virgin was waiting, her face serene and patient. He explained the bishop's request for proof. She nodded, her expression unwavering. "Return tomorrow, and I will give you a sign for the bishop." The miracle of the roses. The next day, Juan Diego was delayed. His uncle, Juan Bernardino, had fallen gravely ill, and he stayed by his bedside, fearing that death was near. At dawn on December 12th, he finally set out to find a priest for his uncle, avoiding Tepeyac so as not to be delayed by encountering the Virgin Mary again. Yet, as he skirted the hill, the Virgin appeared again, stepping into his path. "Am I not here, I who have the honor of being your mother?" she asked gently. "Are you not under my shadow and protection? Let nothing trouble you. Your uncle is already healed." Juan Diego's eyes widened. Could it be true? At her reassurance, peace filled his soul. "Now go to the top of the hill," she instructed. "There you will find flowers. Gather them and bring them to me." Flowers? In the middle of winter, on a barren, rocky hill? Yet, when Juan Diego reached the summit, he gasped in wonder. Roses bloomed in abundance, their petals dewy and fragrant, more beautiful than any he had ever seen. He carefully gathered them into his tilma, cradling them like a sacred treasure, then returned to her. The Virgin gently arranged the roses within his cloak and said, "Take these to the bishop. This is the sign he requested." The tilma's divine image. Juan Diego rushed to the bishop's palace once more, clutching his tilma tightly, careful not to drop a single petal. When he was finally admitted to Zumarraga's presence, he unfolded his cloak, letting the miraculous roses spill onto the floor. Gasps filled the room. Castilian roses, native only to Spain, lay before them, blooming impossibly in the Mexican winter. Yet, It was not the flowers that made the bishop fall to his knees in awe. There, imprinted upon Juan Diego's humble tilma, was a glorious image, the very likeness of the Virgin who had appeared to him. She stood with hands folded in prayer, clothed in a celestial blue mantle adorned with golden stars. The black sash around her waist signified pregnancy, a sign of new life. Beneath her feet, the crescent moon and angelic presence signified her heavenly nature. Tears filled the bishop's eyes. This was no mere vision. This was divine.